I mean, it may make me want to get into politics myself. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Well, honestly, it's this kind of reception for me that makes everything that my father's doing so worth it. I always say that, from day one, if there's one person who didn't need this job, it's actually my father. But he believes in America. He believes in the American dream. He sees those freedoms eroding and getting layers of bureaucracy and regulation and all the things that made us so great. He sees that disappearing, and he's doing this because he wants to make sure that everyone in this country has the same incredible opportunities that perhaps I was blessed to have. Everyone of all ethnicities, all backgrounds, everyone to have the same shot to raise a great family, to start and run a great business, to not have government in every aspect of your lives.
Yeah.
And that's why he's doing it. For me, it's been an awesome experience just to be able to be on the road, to go around the country to groups like this and speak to them, and see that glimmer of hope in their eyes when they say, you know what, there is a chance to actually, as my father said the other day, drain the swamp. Yeah. You know what? I don't think people on either side have been happy with their parties. No. This is actually something that we can all agree on, is that Washington has generally failed us. They get up there, they give their stump speeches, they beat their chest, they get real loud, and then they get on the floor and they do whatever their special interests want them to do.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, that's got to stop. When we see, we've known about the corruption for years. We've all assumed it. Now we see it in writing. We see it in emails. We see it in the O'Keefe videos. We see it from WikiLeaks. And what's more scary, perhaps to me as an American, than that the stuff's actually happening, is that so many people on the other side don't even care.
Yeah.
And that's really scary. But again, I think we have an incredible opportunity to fix all that. When I've gone around now, and I've been just about everywhere, get to speak to amazing groups like this. There's so many people that come up to me, and what makes me really believe we're going to win this is these people come up to me and say, Don, I'm 25, I'm 35, I'm 45, I'm 55, up to 83. I got an 83 last week. And all of them said, and we've never voted in our lives. At first I was shocked.
Yeah.
And at first it was okay, you hear that once, you hear it twice, you brush it off. You hear it dozens of times a day, every day, for months at a time, and you say, man, there's a movement that's not being accounted for here. There's something real special, because those people, they've been disaffected by DC for a long time. They never believed either side. There was no reason to do it. And those people that are coming out, it's the crossover Democrat voters that come up to me all over the Rust Belt states and said, hey, I've been a lifelong Democrat. I know my union bosses have been bought and paid for generations, and guess what? I'm voting for Trump. I want to bring those jobs back to this country. Yeah! It's about having someone that has the guts to have that conversation, the guts to say what actually needs to be said and not just hide away from it because we're afraid of PC culture, we're afraid what the media is going to say about us, but to have the real conversations that hardworking Americans, the people who built this great country, conversations that they want to have, the conversations that they're having at their dinner tables. For me, as the father of 5 young kids, 9, 7, 5, just turned 4, and 2. I know how that happens now. I got a new hobby. We're all good. It's not going to happen again. But as the father of 5 young kids, I look at this as the first generation where we're handing our kids a much worse situation than we ever inherited ourselves. I look at 20 trillion in debt that doubled in the last 10 years. I say, well, guess what? You think it's going to stop with the most conventional, most elitist of the elite candidates? No, they're going to keep doing it. Open borders, everything. It's just, there comes a time where you can't stop the trend. There comes a time where you have to pay the piper. If you all ran your households like the government runs this country, you'd be living on the streets. Exactly. But it's okay for them to do it. It's got to change. We have to bring some common sense back into DC. We have to have some real tough conversations. We have to do these things, because imagine we could bring those jobs back instead of forcing companies to go abroad where they can tax shelter and they don't have to bring it back, and we're educating those people's kids and we're employing those people and those workers. Imagine we brought that back to this country, what that could do. If everyone had the dignity of work, if everyone had the security that comes with that, what that would do to the family structure that's been wiped out across this country, if you had just the confidence knowing that you weren't going paycheck to paycheck. What that could do to our education system, where we're number 30 behind a long list of third world countries that spend 1/10 of what we do on education per capita. These are all things that need to be fixed. They're all here because of career politicians. So it's nice to be the guy representing the guy who's not a career politician, the guy who's doing this really selflessly, because he wants to do it for the American people. And he does not owe anyone anything. He made his fortune building things, building buildings, building hotels, employing people, building resorts. He didn't make $250 million by getting gifts from Saudi Arabia, from countries. Now when I turn on the news, I watch. We have reporters and people in media and politicians that are more concerned about the feelings of people in far-off lands that hate us, hate our values, hate what we stand for. If they could push a button, they'd wipe us off the face of the earth. And we're more concerned about their feelings than we are about the safety and well-being of our kids and loved ones. It's gotta stop. It doesn't work, so. We also have to protect the Second Amendment. Now, I know I am an unlikely candidate to be talking about the Second Amendment, hunting, fishing, and all these things, but I was blessed early in life. My grandfather was a blue-collar guy from what was then communist Czechoslovakia, and he saw the lifestyle that I was growing up with in New York City, and he said, you know what, that's amazing, you have a lot of privilege, you have a lot of great opportunity, that's excellent, but you also have to see the other side. And him and my father used to speak about this, making sure that we were raised sort of the right way. So I always say, hey, I'm the only son of a billionaire that can drive a D10 Caterpillar, because those are the kind of jobs my father made us actually do. It wasn't, hey, congratulations, you're president of the company. It was, you're starting at the bottom and you're going to learn how to do it, because if you're going to build a building one day, you better know how to do it yourself. And so I used to spend summers from the age of 5 with my grandfather, and he said, there's the woods. I'll see you at dark. It was an old school sort of, trial by fire. You learn the hard way, but he got me into fishing. He got me into hunting. He got me into shooting. Now I'm a competitive shooter. I'm an avid hunter. I travel the country and the world doing those kind of things. And again, as the father of 5, I say all the values and all the lessons I learned. Not to say I was always an angel, but when you're in a duck blind at 5 in the morning, when you're in a tree stand at 4:30, it's sort of hard to go do the stuff the night before. You get to bed early. When you're on a range, the discipline and all those things that you learn. So I always say for my kids, and as I'm starting to teach them about the outdoors, about shooting, about fishing, about hunting, preserving that heritage, that great American tradition is so vital, because if I can get a kid off a couch, if I can get them away from a video game and into the woods or onto a stream or onto a range, they do them a major service for life. The patience, the discipline, all of the traits that come with being good at that and learning a discipline like that. It does have serious ramifications. I mean, that's the stuff that's so lacking today in a world of instant gratification and everything at your fingertips. So for my kids, it's such an important part of my life, and I want to make sure that I can pass on that tradition and keep that alive. So it's great to be up in this part of the world where I know that's a big deal. Again, I get out of New York City. I work there during the week so I can walk to work, but I get out and I have a cabin up in the Catskills, up in upstate New York, and I get there every weekend with my whole family. I don't think I've spent a weekend in New York City in over a decade, because it's a part of our lives. I want to make sure that they get out there, that they're playing there, that they're getting muddy, that they're driving their ATVs, getting dirty. And again, I think I'm doing them a major service in life. So it's great to be able to be around shooters, around outdoorsmen, around all these people who I think feel the same way as me and want to keep those traditions alive, because those traditions are at risk. When I see Hillary Clinton talking about the Heller decision and how the Supreme Court got that wrong, what she said in the debate was false. She said the Supreme Court got Heller wrong, and all Heller said was that you have the right to keep a firearm in your own homes. That has nothing to do with concealed carry. That has nothing to do with any kind of other ownership or hunting or tradition. That's just the right to keep and bear arms in your home. And when I look at the Second Amendment, as an avid shooter, as a competitive shooter, I say, wait a minute, it's the Second Amendment. This wasn't some random afterthought, 200 years later. I mean, the second thing after freedom of religion and freedom of speech that our founding fathers thought of was the right for us to be able to defend ourselves. That should not be infringed. And the fact that there's even a debate about this is almost mind-boggling to me. So I really appreciate all of your support and everything that you're doing here. It is a movement. It is no longer a campaign. I've never seen it in my life. I'm 38, so I'm almost 40. I've been around long enough, maybe not that long, but I don't know if anyone in this room has ever seen a political candidate that's able to get 10, 15, 20, 25,000 people
Never.
2, 3, 4 times a day.
Never.
You know, there's something special going on here, and I think we have the opportunity to really get this ship back on the right track again. So you're all a part of that. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Make sure to get out and vote. Make sure to get your friends out to vote. Make sure to help and volunteer where you can, because you are all a part of this movement. It's not a campaign, it is a movement, and it's a movement of the people, by the people, for the people, because that's the way America used to be. Now it's of the elite, by the elite, for the elite, but again, we're going to change that. So thank you so much, and it's an honor to be here today in May with all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, sir.
What's your dad's exposed and tell me you over?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Don't leave without.
I'm not leaving, don't you worry. I've got a buttonhole on you. Thanks for bringing him here.
I work real hard.
Hey, how's your campaign going?